What's causing Madison to go from this to this? Find out next on True Yet Untrue Tales. Okay, let's get on with the show. It was a Friday night in the mid-1990s, and a 17-year-old girl named Madison had just arrived at a large, two-story home on the edge of town to babysit for the night. The parents, who were heading out for a much-needed date night, gave her the standard rundown. The two young kids were already in bed, and they'd be back by midnight. Once the door clicked shut and Madison heard their car pull out of the driveway, the house became incredibly quiet. It was that heavy suburban silence where every little creak of the floorboard sounds like a footstep. Madison settled onto the couch in the living room, turned on the TV, and started to relax. But about 30 minutes later, she heard a sound that made her sit up straight. It was coming from directly beneath her feet. A rhythmic, heavy thumping noise coming from the basement. Madison realized it was the washing machine. She thought it was strange, since the parents hadn't mentioned leaving a load in, but she figured she'd just go down and turn it off so it wouldn't wake the kids. She walked over to the basement door and gripped the handle. But the second she turned the knob and the door creaked open, the noise stopped. Dead silence. Madison stood there, staring into the pitch-black stairwell, waiting for the sound to start again. But nothing happened. She shrugged it off, closed the door, and went back to her movie. 5 minutes passed. And then, without warning, the thumping started again. Thump, thump, thump. This time, Madison felt a wave of absolute vicious dread wash over her. Something about the timing felt off. She walked back to the door, opened it, and this time she actually started heading down the wooden steps. She'd only gone down about 3 or 4 stairs when the noise cut out again. It didn't taper off, it just stopped instantly, as if someone had pulled the plug. Madison froze. Her heart was hammering against her ribs. She was staring into the shadowy shapes of the basement, but she couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. She sprinted back upstairs, slammed the door, and locked it. She sat back on the couch, but she wasn't watching the TV anymore. She was just staring at the basement door. 5 minutes later, like clockwork, the machine started up again. At this point, Madison didn't care if she looked uptight or paranoid. She had that feeling you get when you're on a carnival ride and you're suddenly dropped, that feeling in your stomach that you're falling. She didn't go to the basement. Instead, she ran upstairs, scooped both of the sleeping children out of their beds, and sprinted out the front door. She didn't stop until she reached the neighbor's house. When the neighbors opened the door, Madison was hysterical, practically covered in a cold sweat of pure terror. They called 911 immediately, and within minutes, the Largo Police Department pulled up to the curb. The officers went into the house with their flashlights drawn and headed straight for the basement. When they got down there, they found the washing machine. It was empty, but as they panned their lights around the room, they saw something moving in the corner. Hidden right behind the washing machine was a man. He looked crazy, and he was clutching a heavy, rusted axe in his hand. He had been standing there in the dark, turning on the washing machine to create that thumping sound. He wasn't doing laundry. He was using that noise as bait, luring Madison down into the basement so he could kill her in the dark.